Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another lecture. This is now part 2 of prime entry books. But now we want to look at the source documents. This is part 2. This topic is not for students only, like I stated earlier on in the other video. This is for business people, for the marketeers, the bricklayers, the farmers, entrepreneurs. All these are encompassed in this lecture. Okay, now let us understand the source documents, business source documents. What are these documents? Okay, the point that you must know is that when the transaction or when a business takes or transact, the documents are prepared by the particular section of your business or the company. Okay, and these documents captures the details of the transaction. Okay, it captures the details of the transaction and a person who will be in charge or a person who authorizes. Then the third point that you must note is that the source documents are then used as the basis for recording in the prime entry box. They are used as a basis for recording in the prime entry box. Okay? Now, let us look at what these source documents contain. We must look at what the source documents really contain. The source documents will contain the following information. Number 1, the source documents must contain the name and address of the business. Okay? Okay. Name and address of the business or company. So you as an entrepreneur, in the source documents, you must make sure that the name of the organization, for instance, you have issued an invoice. That invoice must contain the name and address of your company. Although it is a carpentry shop, the name of that carpentry shop must be captured. It should be there. The second thing, there should be serial number of the transaction. Okay? Serial number of the transaction should be seen. The third information which should be contained in the source document is the date of the transaction. The date when this transaction took place. Date of the transaction. Okay? Meaning, even as a farmer, if you have sold bags of maize, the date when those bags of maize were sold should be taken into consideration. You need to write in the sales day book. Okay? Then the other thing that these source documents must contain are the details of the buyer. The details of the buyer. Details of the buyer are very important. These must be captured. In case of whatever happens tomorrow or the other day, in case there's a court issue or you are dragged to court, it will be easy for you to produce that as your evidence. Then this is number 4. Number 5 is the description of the transaction. In the source document, there should be proper description of the goods that have been sold or the type of goods that have been sold. So here, number 5, we are looking at description of the transaction. Number 6, it must have monetary value. How much are the goods sold? Monetary value. It must show at how much are these goods sold or where the goods sold. Number 7, it should have the signature. It must contain the signature of the officer responsible. Okay, the officer responsible must be able to append his signature to show that truly the transaction has taken place, because that officer becomes the sole witness of the transaction which has just happened. Okay, now I want us to look at each prime entry book with its own source documents. Okay, allow me to wrap this part, then we look at the last part for today. So allow me to wrap this, capture in your mind or record somewhere. Now I'm wrapping so that we are able to look at a prime entry book and its own source document. Okay, so we want to look at the prime entry book and the source of information or source document. Number 1, let us look at the cash book. Okay, what will be the source document for a cash book? Okay, here we are going to look at a receipt book or the receipt, the actual receipt that has been issued. Then we have also payment voucher, okay, let me just say etc, etc, etc. These are the source documents for the cash book, meaning whatever transaction that you enter in the cash book should have these. Okay, the receipt issued or receipt received, the payment voucher supporting the transaction. Number 2, we look at the bank account. Okay, the bank account. What are the source documents? Okay, the source documents for the bank account is a deposit slip. A deposit slip will show that the money has been deposited in this bank account. Therefore, it is important and it must be kept safely and well filed. The next is the bank statement. Okay, the bank statement will show that the money has hit the account or the money was withdrawn on such a date, okay, for such purpose. The next on this, the payment voucher as well. The payment voucher is a source document because it shows, okay, the type of goods that were paid for, how much, and to who was this money transferred to or paid to. Now let us look at the petty cash book. Okay, we look at the petty cash book. What are the source documents for the petty cash book? The source document for the petty cash book is the petty cash voucher. When petty cash has been used, there should be accompanying vouchers to show that petty cash has been used for this purpose. Okay, the fourth one is the purchases journal. The source document for purchases journal is purchases invoice. Purchases invoice. Okay, let us come to the second last for today. What if you have a sales journal? What will be a source document for the sales journal? The source document for the sales journal will be